breeder called these horses worthless and abandoned them. 1 year later, he saw them again and burst into tears. On a misty morning at Hacienda Figueiredo, one of Brazil's most prestigious horse breeding facilities, Dom Álvaro Figueiredo stood with his arms crossed, his expensive riding boots gleaming despite the mud. Before him, 3 trembling colts huddled together in their stall, 1 chestnut, 1 bay, and 1 dapple gray. Worthless, he spat, turning to his stable manager. The chestnut's legs are too weak. The bay's got that irregular gait, and the gray. He shook his head in disgust. Just look at its size. No champion blood here, despite their pedigree. Ricardo, the stable manager who'd been with the family for 30 years, felt his heart sink. Senor Figueiredo, they're just babies. With proper care. We're not a charity, Ricardo. Our reputation depends on perfection. Alvaro's voice cut through the morning air like a whip. Have them removed by sunset. I don't care where they go. As Alvaro's polished boots clicked against the cobblestones, retreating toward his mansion, Ricardo remained behind, watching the 3 young horses. The chestnut nuzzled its companions, displaying an intelligence that belied its supposed worthlessness. Elisa Santos wiped sweat from her brow as she finished mucking out the last stall at her small horse rescue facility, Haven's Hope. At 28, she transformed her grandmother's old farm into a sanctuary for abandoned and injured horses, though keeping it running was a constant struggle. Her phone buzzed a message from Ricardo, an old friend of her father's. 3 colts, good breeding but deemed unworthy. Coming tonight if you can take them. Please help. Elisa's heart raced. She knew of Dom Álvaro's reputation for perfection and his ruthless culling of any animal that didn't meet his standards. She looked around her modest facility, already stretched thin with 8 rescue horses. We'll make room, she texted back. That evening, as storm clouds gathered, Ricardo's truck pulled up. The 3 young horses emerged, scared and confused. The chestnut immediately caught Elisa's eye, despite its supposed weak legs. It moved with a natural grace. This is Luna, Ricardo said, patting the chestnut. The bay is Tornado, and the little gray is Estrella. They're papers. He hesitated. Dom Álvaro ordered them destroyed, but I kept copies. They're from his best bloodlines. Elisa approached slowly, letting the colts catch her scent. Hello, little ones, she whispered. Welcome to your new home. That night, as rain drummed against the stable roof, Elisa sat on a hay bale, watching her new charges settle in. Luna, the chestnut, approached first, drawn by Elisa's quiet patience. They said you were worthless, she murmured, stroking Luna's velvet nose. But I see something different. I see heart. Tornado, the bay with the supposedly irregular gait, nickered softly from his corner. Estrella, tiny but bright-eyed, watched everything with keen interest. Elisa pulled out their papers, reading their impressive lineage by flashlight. Your blood is royal, she told them, but it's your spirit that will make you champions. I promise you that. Dawn broke over Haven's Hope with golden promise. Elisa had spent a sleepless night researching and planning. These weren't ordinary rescue horses. They were thoroughbreds with championship potential, if only someone would believe in them. Let's see what you can do, Luna, she said softly, leading the chestnut filly into the round pen. The morning light revealed what Dom Álvaro had missed. Yes, Luna's legs were slim, but they had perfect proportions. Her supposed weakness was actually the elegant build of a natural jumper. As Luna moved around the pen, Elisa noticed something else. The filly wasn't just moving, she was dancing. Each step showed natural collection, a rare trait in such a young horse. Oh, my beautiful girl, Elisa whispered. They were so wrong about you. Tornado proved equally surprising. His irregular gait was actually a smooth lateral movement that most horses took years to master. The bay colt had been born with natural talent for dressage. But it was tiny Estrella who truly captured Elisa's heart. The gray filly, despite her small size, showed extraordinary courage. When the other horses spooked at a falling branch, Estrella stood her ground, curious rather than afraid. Months passed in a rhythm of hard work and small victories. Elisa's savings dwindled as she invested in specialized feed and equipment. The colts needed more than just rescue care. They needed professional training. "We'll find a way," she told her father Miguel, who worried about her mounting debts. "You can't save everyone, Filha," he said gently. "No," she agreed, "but I can save these three. They're special, Papa. Watch." She demonstrated Luna's perfect jumping form over small obstacles, Tornado's natural talent for complex movements, and Estrella's fearless approach to every challenge. Miguel watched with growing amazement. After 40 years of breeding horses himself, he recognized exceptional talent. "You're right," he admitted, "but training champions takes money we don't have." That evening, Elisa sat at her small kitchen table, bills spread before her. The mortgage payment was due, feed costs were rising, and the veterinary bills never ended. But when she heard the horses nickering in the paddock, she knew she couldn't give up. Help came from an unexpected quarter. Dr. Isabella Montenegro, a retired Olympic equestrian trainer, visited Haven's Hope to check on a rescued mare she'd been following. "Who owns these three?" she asked, stopping dead in her tracks as Luna, Tornado, and Estrella showed off their morning exercises. "They're mine," Elisa said proudly. "Well, they were discarded by Dom Alvaro." "But Alvaro Figueiredo?" Isabella interrupted. "The fool. I can spot his breeding program anywhere, but these..." She watched as Luna executed a perfect flying lead change. "These are diamonds in the rough." Before leaving that day, Isabella made an unprecedented offer. She would train Elisa and the horses for free in exchange for a promise. "When they're ready, and they will be ready, you'll enter them in the Grand Prix." It's time someone showed Alvaro that true horsemanship isn't about perfect conformation. It's about heart. Under Isabella's guidance, Haven's Hope transformed. The retired champion brought not just expertise, but connections. Soon, other trainers volunteered their time. Local businesses, hearing the story of the discarded champions, donated feed and equipment. Each horse developed their specialty. Luna's jumping ability blossomed. She could clear heights that made experienced trainers gasp. Tornado's dressage movements became so precise that visitors often stood mesmerized, watching him work. And Estrella, the tiny gray who'd grown into a compact powerhouse, showed incredible endurance and versatility. "They're not just good," Isabella announced one evening, after a particularly successful training session. "They're extraordinary. But Elisa, it's not just their talent, it's your connection with them. You've given them something Alvaro never did." "What's that?" "Love," Isabella said simply. "You loved them when they were nothing. That's why they'll do anything for you now." The local horse show circuit buzzed with whispers when Elisa entered her 3 horses in their first competition. Veterans recognized the distinctive Figueiredo bloodlines but couldn't place these particular animals in the famous breeders' program. Luna entered the jumping arena first. The morning sun caught her chestnut coat, now gleaming with health and confidence. As she cleared the first jump, the crowd fell silent. By the third, they were leaning forward in their seats. When she completed a perfect clear round, the applause was thunderous. "Who is that rider?" someone asked. "That's Elisa Santos," another replied. "She runs that rescue place out by the old Santos farm." "A rescue horse jumping like that?" "Impossible." But impossible became possible as Tornado took center stage in dressage. His fluid movements and perfect timing earned the day's highest scores. When Estrella demonstrated her versatility in multiple disciplines, the whispers grew louder. That evening, as Elisa hung their ribbons in the stable, a reporter from Equestrian Brazil appeared. "There's a story here," she said, notepad ready. 3 rescue horses sweeping their divisions? People want to know more. The article changed everything. From cast-offs to champions, the miracle at Haven's Hope went viral in the equestrian community. More competitions followed, and with each success, the horse's reputation grew. But fame brought complications. Dom Alvaro's lawyers sent a letter demanding proof of ownership. Thankfully, Ricardo had documented everything, including Alvaro's original order to dispose of the horses. "Let them come after us," Isabella said fiercely. The publicity would destroy him. The lawyers backed off, but Elisa noticed black luxury cars occasionally parked near Haven's Hope, watching. Alvaro was paying attention now. Success didn't solve all problems. Competition fees, travel expenses, and specialized equipment strained Haven's Hope's resources. Other rescue horses still needed care, and Elisa refused to neglect them for her champions. Late one night, after a particularly expensive veterinary emergency with one of the older rescue horses, Elisa found herself crying in the stable. Luna nudged her shoulder gently. Tornado whickered softly from his stall. Estrella pawed at the ground, demanding attention. "I know," Elisa told them, wiping her eyes. "We're family. We'll figure it out." Help arrived unexpectedly. The article had touched people's hearts. Donations began flowing in to Haven's Hope. Local businesses offered sponsorships. A feed company provided free supplies. A transportation company offered their services for competitions. As their reputation grew, so did the level of competition. Each show brought stronger opponents, higher jumps, more complex dressage patterns. But the three horses seemed to thrive on challenges. Then came the invitation that changed everything. The Brazilian National Championships, a qualifying event for the Grand Prix circuit. "This is what we've been working toward," Isabella said, showing Elisa the official letter. "But Elisa, you should know Alvaro always attends. His horses always compete." Elisa looked at her three champions, remembering the scared colts they'd once been. "Good," she said firmly. "It's time he saw what he threw away." The months leading up to nationals were intense. Isabella's training became more demanding. Every movement had to be perfect, every jump precise. The horses responded with characteristic heart, pushing themselves beyond what anyone thought possible. Local children began visiting Haven's Hope, drawn by the story of the underdog champions. Elisa started a youth program, teaching them that every creature deserved a chance. "See how Estrella is small but mighty?" she'd tell them. Or how Luna's sensitive legs make her a better jumper. Sometimes what looks like a weakness is really a strength in disguise. One evening, as sunset painted the sky in gold and pink, Elisa sat in the pasture watching her three champions graze. They'd grown into such magnificent creatures, Luna tall and elegant, Tornado powerful and precise, Estrella compact but radiant. "Whatever happens at nationals," she told them, "you've already won. You've proved that love and dedication can overcome any obstacle." But in her heart, she knew they weren't done proving themselves. The biggest challenge still lay ahead. The Sao Paulo Equestrian Center loomed before them, its modern architecture gleaming in the morning sun. Luxury horse trailers and expensive vehicles filled the parking area. Among them, Haven's Hope's modest trailer seemed out of place. As they unloaded, Elisa noticed the stares. Some were curious, others dismissive. Then she saw the familiar Figueiredo Stables logo on a row of premium stalls. "Well, if it isn't the miracle worker," a smooth voice called out. Elisa turned to face Marina Figueiredo, Alvaro's daughter and top rider. "Father was quite interested to learn about your little project." Before Elisa could respond, Luna stepped off the trailer, her chestnut coat catching the sun. Marina's practiced smile faltered as she took in the mare's perfect conformation and confident bearing. "Impossible," Marina whispered, recognizing the distinctive facial markings of her father's prized bloodline. Tornado and Estrella followed, both radiating the quiet power of true champions. A crowd began to gather, drawn by the unmistakable presence of exceptional horses. The preliminary rounds began with dressage. Tornado drew the difficult early morning slot, but the bay stallion seemed to dance across the arena, his movements fluid and precise. When the scores appeared, they were among the highest of the day. "That's my discarded colt?" Alvaro's voice carried across the warm-up area. He stood watching, his face unreadable, as Tornado returned to the stables. Luna's jumping qualification round drew an even larger crowd. When she cleared the complex course with seemingly effortless grace, the audience erupted in applause. Even the other trainers stopped to watch. Estrella, competing in multiple disciplines, proved her versatility. Her small size, once deemed a fatal flaw, allowed her to maneuver with incredible agility. That evening, as results were posted, all 3 horses had qualified for the finals in their respective divisions. Alvaro cornered Elisa in the stable aisle that night. "Name your price," he said without preamble. "Those horses belong in my program. Their success reflects my breeding." Elisa met his gaze steadily. "Their success reflects their heart, Señor Figueiredo. Something you failed to see. You're a nobody running a charity operation," he sneered. "These horses deserve better. These horses deserve love," Elisa replied. "Something money can't buy." As if on cue, Luna stretched her neck over her stall door, resting her head on Elisa's shoulder. The gesture spoke volumes about trust and devotion. Alvaro's face darkened. "We'll see how far love takes you in tomorrow's finals." Dawn broke over the showgrounds with promise and tension. News of the confrontation had spread, adding drama to an already prestigious event. Tornado's dressage final drew a capacity crowd. The Bay Stallion's performance was poetry in motion, each movement flowing into the next with perfect precision. When the final scores appeared, even Marina Figueiredo applauded reluctantly. Estrella's versatility shone in multiple events, her small size allowing for tight turns and quick transitions that taller horses couldn't match. The crowd fell in love with the tiny gray powerhouse. But it was Luna's show jumping final that would be remembered for years to come. The course was brutal, technical combinations, impossible distances, and heights that tested even Olympic-level horses. As Elisa walked the course, she overheard Alvaro telling reporters, "Those weak legs will never hold up." Luna proved him wrong in spectacular fashion. Not only did she clear every fence, but she did it with a grace and power that left the audience breathless. When they crossed the finish line with the fastest clear round of the day, the stadium erupted. As the final scores were tallied, a hush fell over the crowded arena. Haven's Hope had achieved the impossible. Luna secured gold in show jumping, Tornado dominated dressage with a record-breaking score, and Estrella earned top honors in multiple disciplines. The award ceremony became a celebration of second chances. As Elisa stood on the podium with her 3 champions, tears streaming down her face, the announcer shared their story. "These horses," his voice echoed through the arena, "were once deemed worthless. Today, they stand as proof that greatness often comes in unexpected packages." From her position on the podium, Elisa could see Dom Alvaro in the VIP section. His usual composed facade had crumbled, replaced by a look of profound realization. Next to him, Marina sat with her hand over her mouth, recognition dawning in her eyes. Later that evening, as Elisa was preparing the horses for the journey home, Alvaro appeared at the stable block. This time, he came alone without his usual entourage. "I was wrong," he said simply, his voice heavy with emotion. "Not just about these horses, but about everything I thought I knew about breeding champions." Elisa waited, continuing to brush Luna's gleaming coat. "These past months, watching your success from afar, I've been forced to question my entire approach." He stepped closer, reaching out tentatively to touch Luna's neck. The mare, instead of shying away, leaned into his touch. "What's your secret?" he asked softly. "There is no secret," Elisa replied. "Just love, patience, and the belief that every horse deserves a chance to show their worth." The story of Haven's Hope's triumph made international headlines. The cast-off champions became a symbol of hope in the equestrian world. But the real changes were just beginning. 1 week after the championships, Alvaro visited Haven's Hope officially. This time, he came with a proposal. "This facility," He gestured at the modest but well-maintained stable. Could help so many more horses. I want to establish a foundation with you as director. We'll combine your heart with my resources. Elisa considered carefully. On one condition, she said. This remains a place of second chances. No horse is turned away because they don't meet someone's standard of perfection. Agreed. Alvaro nodded. My daughter Marina would like to volunteer as well. She says she has much to learn from you. Over the next year, Haven's Hope transformed. New stables arose alongside the old ones, but the heart of the place remained unchanged. Every horse, regardless of breeding or background, received the same care and chance to shine. Luna, Tornado, and Estrella continued competing, becoming ambassadors for rescue horses everywhere. But their greatest impact was on the young riders who came to Haven's Hope, learning that champions come in all shapes and sizes. One afternoon, Elisa watched as Marina guided a group of children around the facility. They stopped at a stall housing a newly rescued colt with crooked legs. Who thinks this little one could be a champion? Marina asked. Every hand shot up. Elisa smiled, remembering a misty morning years ago when 3 scared colts arrived in her stable. Now, standing in the paddock, those same horses grazed peacefully, living proof that love could transform the broken into the extraordinary. 5 years after the national championships, Haven's Hope hosted its own competition, one specifically for rescue horses. Hundreds came to compete or watch, including many from prestigious breeding programs who had changed their practices after seeing what was possible. Dom Alvaro, now a passionate advocate for rescue horses, served as honorary judge. His trained eye could still spot fine conformation and movement, but now he looked deeper, seeing the heart and spirit that truly made a champion. As sunset painted the sky in brilliant colors, Elisa stood in the stable aisle with Luna, Tornado, and Estrella. Their coats were graying slightly now, but their eyes still shone with the same spirit that had carried them to victory. You didn't just change your own destiny, she told them softly. You changed the way people see possibility. A small sound made her turn. A young girl stood watching, eyes wide with wonder. Are these the famous 3? She whispered. Yes, Elisa smiled. Would you like to hear their story? Oh, yes, please. And so, as darkness fell and stars began to twinkle above Haven's Hope, Elisa shared once again the tale of 3 cast-off colts who became champions, proving that the greatest victories aren't just won in competition rings, but in the moments when someone chooses to believe in those that others have discarded. Every day at Haven's Hope brought new revelations. Luna, once the scared chestnut with weak legs, became a natural teacher for young horses. Elisa often found her in the paddock, showing newly rescued foals how to navigate obstacles with confidence. It seemed the mare remembered her own journey from fear to triumph. Watch this, Elisa would tell visitors, as Luna demonstrated an almost maternal instinct with nervous newcomers. She shows them where to place their feet, how to balance their weight. She's teaching from experience. Tornado, the bay stallion once mocked for his irregular gait, developed a special connection with children with disabilities. During therapeutic riding sessions, he would adjust his movements to accommodate each rider's unique needs. His supposedly flawed gait proved perfect for riders who needed extra stability. Estrella's legacy proved particularly touching. The tiny gray mare who had been deemed too small became the foundation for a new breeding program focused on compact, versatile sport horses. Her first foal, a dappled colt named Esperanza, Hope, inherited both her small stature and incredible athletic ability. Size isn't everything, Marina would explain during tours, having completely transformed from her earlier prejudices. Estrella proved that heart and intelligence matter more than height. The success of the 3 champions led to the development of the Haven's Hope method, a training approach that emphasized individual potential over conventional standards. Key principles included patience in early training, allowing each horse to develop at their natural pace, recognition of unique attributes that might initially appear as flaws, building confidence through incremental challenges, creating strong emotional bonds between horses and handlers, customized nutrition and exercise programs for different body types. The method gained international recognition, with trainers from around the world visiting to learn its principles. Every year on the anniversary of their national championship victory, Haven's Hope hosted a special event called Champions Day. Rather than a traditional competition, it was a celebration of transformation. Rescue horses and their adopters would return to share their success stories. The highlight was always the evening ceremony, where Luna, Tornado, and Estrella would perform a choreographed Liberty display, moving freely without riders, demonstrating the pure joy of horses who knew their own worth. During one such celebration, Dom Alvaro made a surprising announcement. He was converting half of his breeding facility into a rehabilitation center for horses with conformation issues. "These three taught me that perfection comes in many forms," he declared, gesturing to the champions who had once been his cast-offs. True breeding excellence isn't about creating identical horses, but about nurturing the special qualities in each one. The story of the three champions spread far beyond Brazil's borders. International breeding associations began reconsidering their standards. Registration rules were modified to be more inclusive. More importantly, attitudes started to change. Elisa found herself traveling worldwide, speaking at conferences about the importance of looking beyond traditional standards. She always brought photos of Luna, Tornado, and Estrella from their first day at Haven's Hope, contrasted with their championship victories. "The greatest transformations," she would say, "happen when we stop seeing what's wrong and start nurturing what's right." As the years passed, Haven's Hope became known as a place where miracles were everyday occurrences. Each horse that arrived carried their own story of rejection or hardship, but also their own potential for greatness. Young veterinarians requested internships there, eager to learn about rehabilitation techniques. Breeding experts studied their methods. But most importantly, children came to learn that differences could be strengths, that challenges could become opportunities, and that love could transform lives. In the end, the legacy of three unwanted colts extended far beyond their championship titles. They had started a revolution in how the world viewed perfection, proving that sometimes the most precious gems are the ones others throw away. And in the peaceful evenings at Haven's Hope, when Luna, Tornado, and Estrella gathered at the fence to watch the sunset, their contentment seemed to say that the greatest victory of all was simply being allowed to become who they were meant to be.